Normally when I look for music, I typically skip best of albums or compilations, but sometimes they do carry some weight. And I think in this case, it works out.
This is Podcast New York.
What's up, Dueling Decades? This is Wax. Peace to all you guys, and thanks for having me on the show. Will it be the 90s or the 80s? Beanie Babies or Crack Babies? Will it be Nirvana or Madonna? Maybe Britney, maybe Whitney. Do you like new metal or new wave? Dave Grohl or Super Dave? I don't know. But now the battle begins. Dueling Decades. Let's see who wins.
Dueling Decades. Broadcasting from the Podcast New York studios and on Pod TV Live, it's another all-new Dueling Decades, the adult-only retro game show where the decades battle for supremacy. Because it's your history, we just fight for it. Welcome back. I am Marc James, and this week we slide into September with a best of duel. I will be competing with the best of September 1975 alongside the other duelers and the decades they will be fighting for. First off, representing the 80s, say hello to the one we call Mancrush.
Man, I love these broken record episodes where I get to say everything for the second time. That's right. I have September of 1985. And you know what? I think I'm working on a 4-match winning streak. So let's make it 5. And watch us on Pod TV. That's twice.
Also joining the show and competing this week with the 90s is the media king of the North. Please welcome back Joe Findlay.
My favorite thing about being back as a contestant after a couple of rounds as judges is I'm going to end Nick's streak, or Mancrush's streak, and we're going to be able to see it on Pod TV.
Oh, 3 times. We're done.
And as always here on the show, we need somebody to adjudicate all of this awesomeness. So this week's guest judge is the first member of the Dueling Decades 4-Timers Club.
Woo!
And maybe that's because, like the song says, he's better than the rest. All rise and welcome back to the show, Judge Robert Tepper.
Hey guys, what's going on? Glad to be back. Glad to be judging one more time. I could be on even more. We could do this once a week if you wanted to. But, okay.
Dude, it's like, I'm always like, I got to get Tepper at least one quarter, or at least twice a year. Because I think we missed out on the summer. So I think the last time you were on was January.
So did the whole country.
Yeah, so we actually missed a session. So yeah, we will need to get you back again earlier than that.
I appreciate it.
Ladies and gentlemen, the following contest will be held under Dueling Decades rules. The judges' coin flip shall decide who picks first out of the 5 Dueling Decades categories: movies, television, music, news, and hot products. A judge's ruling will determine who wins each round, allowing the victor to choose the next available category. The first 3 rounds are worth 1 point each, with rounds 4 and 5 worth 2 points apiece. And in the event of a tie after all 5 rounds, we'll go to a final wild card round. Remember, duelers, to review the show, listen, subscribe, and play along at home. It's time for more Dueling Decades.
Yes.
All right,
So
let's go.
how do we do the flip with 3 people?
Well, this week it'll be between Mancrush and Joe Findlay.
Oh, you're just emceeing.
Yeah, well, I'm competing as well, but you know, we'll defer to these 2 gentlemen for the coin toss.
Mark doesn't like to go first. It's
Okay.
strategic. I'm
All
pretty
right.
sure he's trying to set us
I
up.
get it, man. I get it. It's a lot of pressure.
Joe,
All right,
you
Joe.
can call it.
Ready,
I'm
Joe?
going to call it. All right, let's go heads.
Call it.
Heads.
It is heads.
Yes.
Woo!
All right, Joe Findlay, you win the coin toss. You take control of the board, and you get to select our first category.
All right, well, I'm going to do something a little unpopular here. And I am going to actually select the music round as the first round with a musical judge.
Okay.
So let's get into that.
We're going to say movie.
I'm hitting buttons all at the same time. So the whole thing. All right. So September 12th, 1995, off the success of their most successful album. It's their 6th album to date. And I give you Red Hot Chili Peppers with One Hot Minute. It was the only album to feature Dave Navarro after he replaced John Frusciante, who was having issues with the band's popularity. Featured songs Warped, My Friends, and Aeroplane, which was arguably the biggest of the hits. Excuse me. Rolling Stone said of the album, One Hot Minute dives into the emotionally deep end of drug addiction and loss, and that the album is ferociously eclectic and imaginative disc that also presents the band members as more thoughtful, spiritual, even grown up. After a 10-plus year career, they're realizing their potential at last. The album, while considered a disappointing follow-up to Blood Sugar Sex Magic, it sold 2 million copies worldwide. It reached number 4 on the Billboard 200. It's a good album. It's not their best album, but it's quite a good album. So I give you One Hot Minute by the Chili Willies.
All right, Mancrush, what did you bring for the music round?
All right, so let's head back to September 2nd, 1985. Normally when I look for music, I typically skip best of albums or compilations, but sometimes they do carry some weight. And I think in this case, it works out for the sheer amount of copies that this thing sold and the number of hits that are on this album. It was super hard to ignore this one. And you also have to think to yourself this, it's 1985, right? We don't have instant access to music like we do today. So you would have needed to own 8 of this guy's previous albums to get the songs that were on this best of between 1973 and 1983. So there was a time and place for this kind of thing back in 1985, and the numbers for this one will demonstrate that. This guy right here, he's got all kinds of albums, but if you were to look at them in order, this would be about his 11th release. And it's also the best selling of any album in his entire catalog of nearly 40 releases. The album right here, it's Greatest Hits Volume 1 and 2. And the dude had so many hits, they needed to release this first one as 2 fucking volumes. He's that good. It was certified double diamond in the United States. So 23 million units, which is good enough for 6th all-time best-selling album, which is just incredible. It's not all old though. There were 2 previously unreleased tracks on this one. You had You're Only Human and The Night Is Still Young. However, you got all the hits here. Piano Man, Say Goodbye to Hollywood, New York State of Mind, The Stranger, Just the Way You Are, which is just the first side of the first cassette. And then, I mean, it just goes on and on. So for any Billy Joel fan, this has every song that he had done pretty much up until 1985, just about. So I give you the man that I'm going to see in November after waiting 2 years to see this show, because we bought these way back when. But we got Billy Joel's Greatest Hits Volume 1 and 2, and that was released September 2nd, 1985.
Hey.
All right, gentlemen. So for my music pick, we'll head over to the pages of the Star Press out of Muncie, Indiana, where an excerpt from a review by Stephen Friedman reads, Wish You Were Here sends listener on a voyage. Highlighting this week's reviews is the new Wish You Were Here by Pink Floyd. As always, Floyd can flagrantly twist and contort the senses, as well as subdue and relax them. Therein lies the power which makes theirs a mesmerizing brand of sound. The lyrics of Roger Waters, while at times can be a bit infantile, seem to fit a preconceived mold created by the music. Pink Floyd is not your quite of the run-of-the-mill rock band. The purpose of their subliminal trip seems to send you on your own spaced-out voyage, the article says. Now, the album's title track, Wish You Were Here, was based on a poem that Roger Waters wrote about Pink Floyd's original frontman, Syd Barrett, and his fall from reality, largely due to his extensive use of LSD. Now, Wish You Were Here would be the 9th studio album by Pink Floyd, but the band's first release on Columbia Records. The album was shockingly panned by critics when it was released, but has gone on to be one of the most beloved albums in all of rock music history. The album clocks in at a brisk 23 minutes and 11 seconds, Now, if we take a look at the album track listings here, we start off with the hauntingly beautiful Shine On You Crazy Diamond, parts 1 through 5. Then we take a brief break from the moving tribute to their former bandmate for 2 singles that are actually criticizing the music business, which you always want to do on your first album with a new label, just so you know. So we get Welcome to the Machine and my personal favorite, Have a Cigar. Next up is the moving Wish You Were Here. And the album concludes with Shine On You Crazy Diamond, parts 6 through 9. The 900,000 advance orders, which was actually the largest of any Columbia release at the time, helped the album reach #1 on the Billboard charts in only its second week. Wish You Were Here was Pink Floyd's fastest selling album ever. So there's so much to say about this album, so many great stories about the writing and recording. I highly recommend everyone to go out there, take the 23 minutes, listen to the album, and then do some of your own research about some of these great stories. So I give you Wish You Were Here by Pink Floyd, September 12th, 1975.
I think my face and Tepper's face were exactly the same. When you said 23 minutes, we were like, what? Like, wait, for one song?
For one song.
That's shocking.
All right, well, let's toss it down to our guest judge for this episode, Mr. Robert Tepper, for his verdict on the music round.
Well, you opened up tough, man. You gave me 3 bands that I absolutely love, you know, so it's a tough choice, okay? Blood Sugar Sex Magic was one of my favorite albums ever, okay? I have kids who are young, so I was hearing all this stuff coming up, Pearl Jam, all this stuff. And, you know, I mean, was I actually, you know, seeking out the Chili Peppers? I couldn't help it. They were playing it. My kids were playing the CDs, what was it? Higher Ground? You had Higher Ground. And I, you know, and then they put on Blood Sugar Sex Magic. And it's still to this day, because I engineer a lot, one of my favorite sounding snares, right? Ever, drum sounds, which is great. And I don't want to drag this out too long, but when this was the next record, right? And nobody liked the record. Everybody was pissed off, okay? Anybody who was a big fan of theirs was like, you know, and in all honesty, you know, the change of guitar player, what was so cool about his guitar playing was like, he was so funky in a Jimi Hendrix kind of way that identified a lot. And Navarro was more slick, you know, and just a little more clean and stuff like that. So I wasn't used to that. So I got to shoot you down for that Chili Peppers record. So sorry. Apologize.
That's why he went with it round 1.
Yep. Okay. Okay. The next record, you know, Pink Floyd. I mean, come on, guys. I absolutely love Pink Floyd. I mean, how could you not love Pink Floyd? And Syd Barrett, and I didn't know him that well. You know what I mean? I didn't know the music with Syd Barrett that well. And as far as Pink Floyd records go, I'm sure if you're really into them, like Sicko Wacko a million times over, that you know that record. You know, I don't really know that record, you know, which tells me for a guy who pretty much gets up and has music first, you know, instead of cereal in the morning. You know what I mean? It's like that couldn't have been a very popular record for that. Now, the first time I ever played for a big producer, I played for Phil Ramone at a studio in New York, and it was a pretty famous studio, names, you know, and Phil Ramone was coming off producing The Stranger, right? Remember that?
Yep.
And that record kind of took over, man. That record kind of took over. Billy Joel is just so funny to me. It's like there's a part of me that goes, fucking Billy, man, you sound like a bar mitzvah band sometimes. You know what I mean? He's got that, you know, he's got that thing where he's so exact. He's such a great piano player. He's such a great singer. He is such a great songwriter, you know? And I got to give it to Billy Joel, man, because I come from the songs are first, you know? So Mancrush, you get this round.
Sweet. And you know what? It kind of makes sense too. Like 9/11 was 20 years ago and 2 days from now.
That's
And
right.
did you guys ever hear the story about when 9/11 happened and Billy
No.
Joel he hopped on his motorcycle and just started driving to like random bars in Long Island and places down in the city and was just doing music. He would just show up at a place and just start fucking. Can you imagine? You're like drinking your sorrows away. Billy Joel walks in the fucking door.
I'm not trying to be my mother who's dead and try to top your story with it. Your son's a doctor. Oh, my son's a surgeon. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to do that. But I just want to say, when I was a kid, like 16, 17, we would go to the Village. And I saw him in the Village, man, playing in a club like Cafe Wah, you know, on organ, just playing. I mean, I didn't know who he was. You know what I mean? He was just like, but the guy is, you know, he's Mr. New York. I think he sells out. Are you going to the Madison Square Garden show?
Yep.
Well, it sells out like every weekend, right? Does he plays every Saturday?
You know, the thing is, I bought these tickets
4 years ago. No,
like I can't remember if I got them at the end of 2018.
right.
I think I did. I think I got them at the end of 2018 for my wife's birthday.
So
And we
he's
knew
just
then
doing
that it was going to be like, you know, in a while from now.
that. Right.
And then it got canceled twice because of COVID. And now it got pushed all the way to November. So it's like, I forgot the exact day we're going, but it's sometime in November. And
you're gonna love
it's
it.
so sold out, Tepper. I'm sitting behind the stage. I'm sitting behind the stage. I was like, fuck it. Like, what choice do I have?
Never my favorite place to go see a band, to sit behind them. But hey, Mancrush,
See him live.
you'll have it. For you, it'll be. I'm kidding.
Yeah,
I hope
no,
it works
seriously.
out. Are they going to start? Is the stage start? Is it going around?
I
Probably
think
not.
the way I looked at, I mean, of course, this is like going back 3 years ago, but back 3 years ago when he was doing this from behind the stage, you could still see a pretty decent amount of the stage, and he doesn't get up and move around a lot. He sits at the piano.
No,
So
he's
we
a
had
piano. He's
Yeah,
piano.
so we
man.
had a pretty good set of seats looking at other people's tickets from prior shows, but who the
No,
fuck
you'll
knows?
love
now?
it. You'll love it,
Who
man.
knows how it'll be?
I don't know how he doesn't do that in the round. It just doesn't make sense to me. Because he'll sell that out.
You're
The
right.
last-
right. But,
well, actually-
but the thing is, there's so many people who want to see him, and they have to do it at a place like the Garden. Otherwise,
Yep.
they can't accommodate. And there's no like that. Look, seeing Billy Joel in an intimate atmosphere would just be insanely great. You know.
The one caveat to that though, the seats behind the stage, I'm in like the 6th or 7th row. So
That's great.
I'm super close. I just
Yeah.
don't know when I'll be able to see.
Just keep going. Drumstick. I need a drumstick.
Throw me shit.
Come on. I'm sitting in the back, motherfucker. No, I'm sorry.
I feel bad for me.
All right, round one goes to you, buddy.
All right, I'll take it.